Boom. All right, this is a companion piece to the video that I posted a couple days ago, basically going through the different points of why I don't recommend shooting Super 8 film and why I probably won't be doing that anytime soon. Of course, as I said that, I was like reviewing the footage that I had and I was like, damn, I kind of like this. So I might shoot Super 8 again soon, we will see, but I'm gonna save it for very special occasions because it's just very expensive. Now, something I did mention in that video is that I probably will be shooting 16mm again soon because I love it. I'm an addict, okay? Listen, I'm coming to you as a man that has certain needs and desires, and apparently shooting 16mm is one of those things. It just makes me feel better. And there's a few reasons for that we'll break into. First off, this is some of the film I have. I have a couple other canisters laying around, but these are 100-foot spools. And this is basically, each one of these is about 3.5 minutes, shot at 24 frames per second. Now I know what you're saying. The 50-foot spool of Super 8, you said that was also only 3.5 minutes of footage. So what's the deal? 50 feet to 100 feet, what's the deal? Well, because this is 16mm, double the size, it's double the footage, yes. 50 feet to 100 feet, double the size means it's about the same, 16 to 18, 50 to 100, so thus it's still only about 3.5 minutes. The processing fees on these are a little bit more expensive. The film itself is a little bit more expensive, but the quality is so much better. And I have oodles and oodles of 60mm film to show you. I don't think I'll ever shoot with this. I got about 5 of these cans, but this is like really old Ektachrome, and I don't even think there's an expiration date on it, but knowing Ektachrome and like my experience with shooting like really old versions of it, I doubt that there's anything even remotely salvageable on it. But I just really like the font here. I just like the packaging, you know, lame stuff like this. The footage that I'm going to show today a little bit of, and the stuff I'm going to post a separate video of, I shot on this stock. I have, I think, 2 or 3 left of this, and I just absolutely adore it. So I'll show that, but I'm going to get that out of the way because that's not the important part of this video just yet. We're going to talk about this, the love of my life, my Canon Skupik. Most people who shoot 16mm have a Bolex. They have the Krasnogorsk, whatever. They have some iteration of those two. Very few people have a Skupik because they are not as common, and then also they're very, very expensive. This is great because it has basically a full auto mode. So there's the electric eye system up here, which is one of Canon's like earliest iterations of that. And then there's 2 processing boards here, which basically read the exposure, and then there's a little motor that controls the aperture in here. I did a video a while ago where I repaired a Canon Skupik, so I will link that up here, and basically I can go on talking about this, but I love this thing so much. This is my personal one. I got it for like $100, so this is like the steal of the decade, and that makes me love it just that much more. It has a macro setting, and honestly the lens is really sharp. I really love this thing. And most of the 60mm that I've shot has been through a Canon Skupik. So why am I going to shoot 16mm again and not Super 8? The quality is fantastic. Yes, the cost is pretty steep, but hear me out. When I only have 3.5 minutes of footage, that helps me prioritize certain shots. That kind of puts you in a different mindset, as opposed to shooting digital, where you just have like an endless amount to shoot. This kind of creates a little bit more of a feeling towards it. Like, I remember all of the shots that I've shot through this, and then when I get it developed and I see it back, it's like, oh, I remember shooting that, I remember shooting that. Like, it creates a little bit more of a relationship that I have with the footage I've shot through here that you don't get through digital as much. So there's that to be said. Also, going back to the quality itself is just, it's really fantastic, and it's one of the things I can rationalize about shooting this. Even this stock DLC, this I believe was discontinued in like the early to mid 90s. So this is at least like over 25 years old, but it still looks perfectly fine. Yeah, there's some color distortions and stuff like that, and if I feel like I would have been a little bit more spot on with the exposure, I could have pulled more detail out of certain shots, but for the most part, it held up pretty stinking well for like over 20-30 year old film. So there's that to be said. Also, the camera itself, I mean, this is just incredibly ergonomic. It's super easy to use. Yeah, it's huge, as you can tell, but the grip just feels so good, and the lens is so sharp, and I have a love for this that I can't really describe. When I started film school though, the first thing that we shot was on a Canon Scupic, so I have a bit of a nostalgic feeling towards this, but then also the quality of the film you get out of this kind of creates that similar nostalgia. 16mm still has that bit of grain in it, a little bit less than Super 8mm, but you can still see some imperfections in the film that you wouldn't get out of like 35mm motion picture film. So there's like an element of that you can't really achieve digitally. And yeah, you can do an overlay and convince someone that it is film, but there's just something about this. When you're shooting it, like having an understanding that like what I'm shooting right now is very finite, so I have to make my shots precise. I have to make sure that I'm getting everything down, and it just kind of creates a lot more of an involved experience that I don't really get that much out of digital productions. So for that reason, I'll definitely be shooting 16mm again. I just think it's so much fun, and it's just another little element in the toolbox of film production that I really enjoy. And when I have this camera especially, it's just a shame to not use it. So definitely excited to load this up again. And I just wanted to give a counter argument to why you should shoot motion picture film. Yes, it's very expensive, but the results are so worth it in my opinion. And I hope that upon seeing some of my footage, you can agree, and maybe not pick up your own camera, but maybe start looking, rent one, see how you feel, shoot through it. And I don't know, I just think it's a good time for anybody who's interested. And yeah, I hope you can agree. But that is all for now. My camera's about to die, so I gotta cut this off. But I do appreciate you watching. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Check out all the stuff I've shot on 16mm. Thank you so much. Catch you on the next one.